All right. So for purposes of what we're talking about today in this senior series, we're going to talk a little bit about loan repayment. What happens now? So first, I just want to say congratulations to all of you. The value of your degree is really something that we can't measure. You've done all the work, you've done what you've needed to do, and now, you're walking away with a 4-year degree from Eckerd, and that's truly invaluable. So congratulate yourselves, pat yourselves on the back. You've done a wonderful job. So what happens now is now that you're not in school, what's going to happen is you're going to start getting lots of notifications about student loans if you have been a borrower. So the first notification that you're going to get, and you may have already got it, is going to be from the financial aid office, and it's going to be to complete exit counseling. And so what you see here on the screen, this is your studentaid.gov webpage. And what I can tell you is that this is an invaluable resource for managing your student loans, because what happens at this point is it's kind of out of Eckerd's hands. We are the intermediary for federal student loans. So when students are borrowing federal loans, you're really getting permission, not just from Eckerd, but from the federal government. So we're just kind of the intermediary in that process. And so once you're not with us anymore, now you're going to deal with the actual lender. So that's something that, you really want to keep in mind, because I can't tell you how many times we have students that graduate that call us and say, well, I need to know how to pay back my student loan. And the majority of the time, we're going to direct you to your student aid portal so that you can figure out who your lender is and talk to them directly. So I can't tell you how much I really do think that this is a valuable tool where you can manage your own repayment. Now, student loan payments are still in pause, and that's not really affecting you per se, because you still have a 6-month grace period. But what it's still doing is still not accruing interest on your unsubsidized loan. So right now, because all federal loans are in a payment pause, they're also not incurring any interest on them at this point. So that's a good thing. So right now, if anyone that has an unsub loan, it's not accruing interest. So since any loan since the pandemic started has not been accruing interest. So those are all good things. And so what happens is once you do exit counseling, and so here you'll see at studentaid.gov, it takes about 30 minutes to do it, but you could probably do it in about 5. But I really encourage you to take the full 30 minutes and really understand it, because what exit counseling is going to do is it's going to go through all the different types of repayment, the different types of repayment plans, if you're doing an in-school deferment, if you're going to graduate school. I mean, it's really going to go through all of these things. So I do suggest you take time to do it and not just breeze through it. Now, once you do exit counseling, that doesn't mean that you can't borrow again. So if you decide to go to graduate school and get a master's and need to borrow student loans again, you absolutely can. You'll do entrance counseling when you borrow, and you'll do exit counseling when you graduate from grad school. So this is kind of a cycle. So you may do this again in your lifetime, depending on if you're going to go and borrow loans for an advanced degree. So this is where you're going to go for your exit counseling. You can get the link through your financial aid portal as well, or you just go to studentaid.gov and it's at exit counseling. And so again, I've mentioned both the subsidized and an unsubsidized loan. So typically the subsidized loan is not accruing interest anyways, as long as you're enrolled in school as a half-time student, which is 6 credit hours, and that doesn't include summers. And then subsidized typically starts accruing interest from the time it's dispersed. But again, because of the pandemic, there have been some caveats to that. Now, for any of you students that mom or dad borrowed a PLUS loan, they do go into repayment as well. And so that loan is in their name because they borrowed on your behalf. So, thank mom and dad one more time if they did that for you. So I just want to show you too that you do have a dashboard where you'll see all of your repayment, what you owe. So they'll give you your actual loan total balance, your principal, your interest, any grants that you've received. If you're Pell eligible, you would see your Pell grant total that you had received. And as you can see, this is actually my portal. I screenshotted my portal. Yes, I do still have student loans. Yes, I am still paying them off. I did get advanced degrees, so it did cost me a little money. So I just wanted to be able to show you all that, you truly do have access to this at your fingertips. And again, it's at studentaid.gov. It's under Manage My Loans. And you can actually see, so if you look at the right hand of the screen, you see who the servicer is. So right there, instead of me thinking I need to call my previous institution, I know, okay, so this is who is my servicer, and I can find their number easily, or I can just get to their website through here. Now, if you'll notice at the top, I cut out a quick little thing and pasted it up there because you are going to start getting phone calls. You are going to start getting people saying that they can help you get out of student loan debt. Please don't do it. You should never have to pay for a third party to assist you with student loan forgiveness, applying for payment, income-driven payment plans, even debt consolidation. If you want to consolidate your student loans, you should never pay a third party to do it because you can do it all for free. So a lot of these companies, they target students. I mean, I'll be honest that the funniest thing is that at my school that I used to work at, I'm not sure how they got my phone number to my office, but I used to get phone calls from these predatory companies trying to get me to buy into, consolidation, student loan forgiveness. And I would just be like, do you even know where you're calling? Like, I'm the director of financial aid. Do you have a clue who who you're calling here? It's really predatory, and I wish that it did not happen. So I'm just trying to give you the heads up. Please do not pay a third party. You can make the phone calls yourself. You can deal with the servicers yourself for free, and they do the exact same thing. So please keep that in mind, as you move forward. Again, you have the option to look at, simulated borrowing. If you are thinking about graduate school and you need to borrow for graduate school, this is a good tool for you to use. Reason being, and that's this one over here, I want to simulate more borrowing. You can look at, if I borrowed X amount of dollars, how much would my repayment possibly be? So that you can look at what school may work for you if you're paying for this yourself, and you're needing to borrow student loans and you don't have, scholarships. There's not a whole lot available for graduate school from the federal government or the state government. So institutions are different. So depending on if you're looking at certain programs, you may have some opportunity for graduate internships, graduate assistantships. So they're kind of paying a portion of your tuition or giving you in-state tuition, because kind of once you get that first undergraduate degree, the federal government kind of thinks, well, we've done our job. We've helped this student, with need-based aid, and they've got that degree, and yay. And now if you're getting advanced degrees, that's your choice. Now, I love academics, so I choose to get advanced degrees, and I feel like I get the value from that. So it's an investment for me. I invest in my education. But I also need to be reasonable about what can I pay back. As a director of financial aid, I'm not out there making millions. I wish I was, but I'm not. And so, I have to be honest with myself. What can I pay? Now, if I was, a multimillionaire, I might just be arbitrarily taking classes and getting multiple degrees, but I'm not. So I have to learn how to borrow responsibly and really get the return on my investment. So, that's something that you want to look at when you're looking at your different graduate schools, as far as what options does the institution have for financial aid. Now, some places have scholarships, some places have research internships. There are lots of different things that the institution may offer. So that's something that you do really want to look into as you're deciding on your graduate programs. The other thing about graduate school, for anyone that is a Florida resident, if you had Bright Futures and did not use it all, you are eligible to use it for one semester in graduate school. So that's a good thing if you go to a Florida public school. So keep that in mind as well. Same thing with using any 529 plans. You may be able to use those for graduate school, anything that is unused. So if you did not use all of your 529 plan, it may be eligible to roll into graduate school. So that's a good option as well. I don't have too much other pressing topics when it comes to loan repayment. I will stress to you that, not to scare you or to make you nervous, but, there are consequences if you don't pay your loans. If your loan does go into default, there are consequences. They can take your tax returns, they can attach your wages, things like that. So if you ever find yourself in a position that you've entered into repayment and you cannot pay, do not be scared to contact your lender. There are options. You can go into forbearance for financial hardships. You can go into deferment for in-school deferment if you're in school and don't want to pay or can't pay at the time. So there are options, but you have to be honest with your lender. So, avoidance is not the key when you're dealing with student loans, because they will find you. They will attach wages, and they don't have to tell you. They don't have to tell your employer. They don't have to do anything. They just attach your wages. Again, if you're getting tax return, payments, they can just take those. So you'll be expecting, $1,000 return in your account, and it will never come because they have taken it and applied it to your student loans. So, there are consequences. So I do want to not to scare you, but just for you to understand that, this is truly, you borrowed, you entered into a repayment agreement when you signed your master promissory note. So they are going to want you to honor your agreement. The other thing too is that if you did go into default, if for some reason you couldn't pay and you went into default, it negatively affects Eckerd. We have what's called a cohort default rate. So all of our students that are borrowers, we want you to be responsible and repay, because if you don't, it can affect us to the point that we lose funding. We're not anywhere near that. Our students are very responsible, but again, there are negative consequences. And so I just want to make you aware of those type of things, so that you keep it in the back of your mind that you've earned your degree from here. You certainly wouldn't want anything negative to happen to Eckerd, nor do you want anything negative to happen to yourself and get any wages garnished or anything like that.